Order. This meeting is called to order in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. This meeting was included in a list of meeting dates sent to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, and the Highland Park Planet on January 3rd, 2018, and was posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, 221 South 5th Street on January 3rd, 2018, and has remained continuously posted as required by law. Our fire exits are to either side under the exit signs. Assisted listing devices are available upon request to the Deputy Clerk. Mr. Morgan, I'd ask you to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, we have a roll call.
Mayor Brillmittler, Councilman Fine,
Here.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin,
Here.
Councilman George,
Here.
Councilman Hirsch,
Here.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan,
Here.
Councilwoman Walkovitz,
Here.
Borough Attorney Schmier,
Here.
Borough Administrator Hover.
Here.
For our council reports, I'd like to start with Councilwoman Kim Chohan.
Sure, Council President. In regards to recreation, today we held our fireworks logistics meeting. Our 4th of July fireworks event will take place at Donaldson Park Monday, Monday, July 2nd. Rain date is scheduled for Tuesday, July 3rd. So please make note of that. Our Highland Park summer camp jobs are posted on the employment section of the borough's website, and please apply by May 5th, which is this week. The Willy Wonka Jr. will be performed by the Highland Park Youth Theater Company on Thursday, May 3rd, and Sunday, May 6th, in the high school auditorium. As it relates to the Arts Commission, we have a comic book drawing workshop coming up at the Fallout Shelter, Saturday, May 19th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Workshop space is limited to 10 participants, and registration is required. View the Highland Park Arts Commission Facebook page for more details. And Open Studios will be happening the last weekend of June. Registration is now open. Our Zen Art and Writing Workshop will be in July, and the Band-Aid bench is in process, and location is being determined. For our senior services, meet and greet Daisy May, Wednesday, May 30th, 12 p.m. Daisy is a therapy dog that will be accompanied by her companion, Roberta. Daisy May will be making monthly visits to our senior center, so don't worry if you miss this visit. The Historic Commission will be hosting a walking tour Wednesday, May 23rd at 7 p.m. and Sunday, June 3rd at 10 a.m. Details can be found on our Borough Facebook page. And May is Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. In 1992, the official designation was signed into law. The month of May was chosen to commemorate the immigration of the first Japanese to the United States on May 7, 1843. I will announce events as I get them to anyone that would like to participate in festivities, and that is my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Welkowitz.
Thank you, Council President. A couple of things, please. Last weekend, our Safe Walking and Cycling Committee created another pop-up bike lane, this time a contra bike lane on Walter Avenue, in anticipation of the traffic to and from our Earth Day celebration at the Environmental Center. A pop-up lane is inexpensive and spray-painted quickly, in fact, earlier that morning. Walter Ave is one way to cars, but two ways to bikes. The neighbors immediately felt the traffic calming effects and the bicyclists were thrilled. The markings are still up, but wearing quickly. Please enjoy the new lane while it lasts. Big special thanks to our Safe Walking and Cycling Committee co-chair, Sean Meehan, for orchestrating the painting and safe use of the lane all day, with added support from Peter Bilton and Ben Erringer. Thanks to Lieutenant Panicella for being part of our committee and for his invaluable assistance with our projects. And thanks to the entire SWAC team and volunteers who worked to table at Earth Day and spoke to our residents about their needs. A couple of other things that our Safe Walking and Cycling Committee is involved with. Our middle school is having a Bike to School Day on May 25th from Donaldson Park to the middle school. Keep Middlesex Moving is helping to organize the event with our committee. Special congratulations to our school superintendent, Scott Taylor, for being nominated by his peers as the Middlesex County Superintendent of the Year. Mr. Taylor joined us about 3 years ago after a difficult period here in Highland Park. He faced the challenge to mend relations between the superintendent's role and staff, parents, and the community at large. He set out designing a new strategic plan with input from all stakeholders and has continued to make strong connections within our community. He continues to bring a high level of knowledge and professionalism to the role and progressive practices for improving academic excellence and equality for our diverse student body. At long last, beautiful spring weather is forecast for this Sunday's 10th annual 5K and Street Fair. Our 5K is inclusive and open to all runners, walkers, and rollers. Did you know the proceeds from the 5K go to benefit our police department, fire department, first aid squad, and library? This is the last chance to pre-register for the Highland Park 5K. Sign up online at runinthepark.org and save time on race morning. Go to the website for full details. Race winners will get a 16-ounce glass Highland Park 5K mug, which can be used for special drink discounts at Pino's or OQ Coffee during the street fair later that day. If you don't win a mug in the race, we will have mugs for sale at the Main Street booth at the street fair. Special thanks to all our 5K sponsors. So bear with me here, because there are a lot, and they really help make this a success. St. Peter's Hospital, Kinetics, Mini Cooper of Edison, Geico of Edison, Strub Law, Bayleaf Grill, Kaplan Capital, Speak Music, Running It Softly, Raritan Valley Roadrunners, Hackensack Medical, Ready Clinic, Go Owls Athletic Boosters, Safe Drugs, All Colors, Stages Consultants, HP Conservative Temple, Morty's, BCB Bank, Pino's, Stop and Shop, Sustainable Highland Park, The Fallout Shelter, OQ Coffee, Dunkin' Donuts, and Yellow Brick Road. Thank you all very much for your generous contributions. And possibly our biggest annual event, our street fair, begins later in the day from 11:30 to 4:30. Come on out for a lovely afternoon with music, food, performances, and more. And just a couple more things. Our downtown planting days are May 17 and 19. Please volunteer to help us beautify Raritan Avenue. And our outdoor movie theater begins May 26 with The Secret of Nim. Thanks, Brian Onken, for bringing us a great lineup each year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Hirsch.
Thank you, Council President George. I'm pleased to report that the relocation of the borough's municipal ID is progressing as we make sure the Highland Park Public Library is ready and equipped to administer the program and issue the ID. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., I'll head over to the library with Borough Administrator Terry Hover as our IT consultant installs the machine and helps staff with technical support. We'll have more to come very shortly with expanded hours, and remember, if you so choose, once the library does start administering the card, you can choose to have the municipal ID be your library card. They'll affix a barcode on the back. You can still get a regular free library card too, but this is another option for you. So more to come for that, and it's exciting news. The Commission on Immigrant and Refugee Affairs will hold its regular meeting on Tuesday, May 8th at 7:30 p.m. in the lower level conference room at Borough Hall. Please come. The Highland Park Housing Authority will hold its regular meeting on Wednesday, May 9th at 6:30 p.m. at the Samuel Carmen Building next door at 242 South 6th Avenue. Please come. Please come out to the Highland Park Street, just to echo what Councilwoman Walkovich said. I encourage people to come out to the Highland Park Street Fair for everything that she stated, but also because several boards and commissions in the Health and Human Services portfolio will be present there as well, including the Commission on Immigrant and Refugee Affairs and the Board of Health. Both will be distributing important materials and answering questions. On Friday, June 1st, please save the date, Friday, June 1st, 9:30 a.m., please join me, the Human Relations Commission, and the Pride Center of New Jersey for the annual LGBTQ Pride Month flag raising outside the Senior Youth Center. We'll have some remarks, refreshments, and a celebration of inclusivity. Please come. I'm pleased to report that the Highland Park Community Food Pantry has partnered with Feeding Middlesex in order to continue our relationship with the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. The mission of Feeding Middlesex is to support organizations that feed the hungry. The mission is based on the estimated 8.8% or 73,440 people of Middlesex County's 830,000 population that are food insecure despite the efforts of local government and social services. The reason why we had to partner with them, however, is not because of our community food pantry's inability to serve its clientele, which they do phenomenally. It's because in Highland Park, unlike a lot of towns, the Community Food Bank is not a nonprofit. It's actually a borough agency. So the Community Food Pantry of New Jersey has tightened its rules and has stated that it will only deal with 501c3s. Since we are not a 501c3, even though your donations are tax deductible, we had to create this special partnership with Feeding Middlesex in order to keep our relationship going with the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. It's all worked out. I'm happy to report that our relationship has gone uninterrupted, and it was a whirlwind of phone calls and hard work. And I just have to once again say that the the board of the community of the Highland Park Community Food Pantry is the hardest working volunteer board I've ever worked with in my life. They're the most organized, most committed, and they just bust their behinds every opportunity, and it's pretty inspiring. This Saturday, Council President George, I'm not sure if you're going to mention this as well. This Saturday, May 5th at 2 p.m., please join us for a special bench dedication for the late Councilman John Erickson, who passed away in October 2016, and who used to occupy this very seat. The dedication will take place between South Adelaide and Cedar Avenue, right next to the raceway, and please come. His family will be there, and we'll be there, and it should be a very special dedication as we remember a council member who I think inspired all of us. Please join the Highland Park Educational Foundation on Saturday, May 12th at 7:30 p.m. for our 2018 spring fundraiser. And the reason why I say our is because full disclosure, I'm a trustee on the board of the Highland Park Educational Foundation. This year we will honor Danelle Morgan, Highland Park High School graduate of 2003 and a member of the Radio City Rockettes. And her parents are here too tonight, which is pretty cool. Show your support and enjoy a fun evening. You can review ticket options and purchase your tickets at www.hpefnj.org. Supporting the Highland Park Educational Foundation supports school programs, field trips, and other teacher resources. Again, that's Saturday, May 12th, 7:30 p.m., and that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I was going to mention Councilman Erickson's. He was my running mate and passed away during our campaign, and I hope that everyone will come out. Councilwoman Foster Dublin.
Thank you. Tonight, I'm happy to report that we had Operation Take Back this weekend, the National Prescription Drug Take Back Program that was held this past Saturday and Sunday over at the Senior Center. So if you saw a lot of people going in and out of the Senior Center, that's what they were doing. They were bringing in their unexpired or their expired drugs that they're no longer using and dropping it off. And that was collected by our police department. And I'm happy to report that people turned in 126 pounds of expired or unexpired medication, and that was turned over on Monday to the DEA. So thank you, Highland Park, for continuing to do the right thing. If you do have other prescriptions that you want to hold on to, you can do the program next year, or you can take it to Safe Drugs, and Safe Drugs will collect your unused prescriptions that you may have. I promised last month that I would give a monthly report of what's going on in our police department, the number of stops and everything else. However, today's the 1st. I did not get all the report together. I will have that report available at our next council meeting, so I want to be very clear that we didn't forget about it. We're going to continue to report, but that report will be available at our next council meeting. I'll have it bi-weekly. As soon as I collect all the data, I'll make that available. Last but not least, today's International Labor Day. So I want to acknowledge that for all the hardworking people that make our life easy and everything else that we do and provide quality of life, we just want to celebrate International Labor Day together. Thank you, Councilmember. That's my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman Foster Dublin. Councilman Fine.
Sure, I just have one item I'd like to share, and that is that the Friends of the Library book sale will be held this coming Saturday, May 5th, and Sunday, May 6th. And I encourage all Highland Park residents to contribute some of their own books from their own collections that may be sold at the book sale, and to go to the book sale and purchase some books to support our library. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Fine. I just have a very brief report. The mayor is not available tonight. With regard to DPW, just a note to everyone, we are trying to get to the pothole repair schedule that we have. Unfortunately, we're just finishing up with trying to remove all of the damaged trees that were knocked down during that one particularly harsh snowstorm that brought down a lot of the trees. With regard to Sustainable Highland Park, at the last meeting we discussed, since we have been discussing the question of water rates and water usage, and their theme for this year's Earth Day was water, as they wrap up their program with regard to disposable plastic bags, they'll be continuing, and they have a subcommittee studying questions of water, including microplastics. They actually have a group now from the middle school as well, working with them, that come to the meetings. At Earth Day, we had a number of discussions between Sustainable Highland Park, the trail volunteers, and the beehive keepers, and the environmental center, which is overseen by the Environmental Commission, about coordinating more efforts in the area with regard to planting. As you may know, we recently erected, God bless you, recently erected a more permanent fence to protect the beehives. One hive was lost, not because of any accident or mischief, but because of die-off. We also had plants to give away, if you recall. Those plants are pollinators, so we coordinated everybody to plant them in the area, also so that DPW doesn't have to show up with weed whackers all the time and run around with the bees. So got everybody talking and coordinating, and hopefully we'll expand that planting in the area. Also, with regard to the Sustainable Highland Park, to wrap up the plastic bag reduction plan, they will be putting out a follow-up survey which follows up in a shorter form on the original, which was done, and their subcommittee is designing that to put out in the last month. Thank you all very much. The Borough Administrator?
I don't have a report this evening.
Thank you. Borough Attorney?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Again, as I say, Mayor Mittler is not available, but she did ask me to, again, as Councilman Hurst mentioned, to please come out and pay our respects as citizens and council people to Councilman Erickson on the 5th. All right, public discussion at this point in time. Members of the public can address any matter on the agenda or off the agenda. Please restrict your comments, though, so that everybody who wants to be heard can be heard, and the session will last 15 minutes or as we need to. Any comments from the public? Yes, Mr. Gross.
Good evening. My name's Herb Gross, and I live at Adelaide Gardens. Tonight, I'm very happy and pleased to announce that the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars, which I'm a member, and Post 370 of New Brunswick, during the month of May, nationwide, we will be honoring all the women that have served our country in all the branches of service. This is nationwide. The The women that will be honored are all veterans of the National Guard, the Army Reserves, Air Force Reserves, Naval, Marine Corps Reserve. These women nationwide have served our country, and they will be honored in each state, each city. I have a copy of our Veterans of Foreign Wars magazine, which I would like to give to the council members. Maybe they would like to read this. Maybe we could pass it on. It's on, her story is on page 25. And I think the council members would be very interested. Again, I say this is nationwide, and we are going to honor all the women that have served our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gross. Does anyone else wish to be heard?
Can I say something, Mayor? I was in New Brunswick today, and I noticed that as I was on Bayard Street by the freeholder's office, that there was a table set up and they were giving out poppies, acknowledging the service of women. They were giving out silver and purple and red. So I did see that they're doing an action in New Brunswick. So I too would like to acknowledge the service that was done by our brave women that protect and serve our country. Thank you, Mr. Gross.
Thank you. All right, we'll close the public session at this point. Clerk, would you report the advertisement of an ordinance to amend the amusement and entertainment ordinance for consideration of passage on final reading by title?
An ordinance of the Borough of Highland Park in Middlesex County amending the code of the Borough of Highland Park, considering hours of operation for amusement games, was duly advertised for consideration of passage on final reading by title, and affidavits of publication hereto are on file. The ordinance was also posted and made available for public as required by law.
I have a motion to take up the ordinance for final reading by title.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. This is an ordinance, so we'll have a public hearing on the ordinance. This is to amend the amusement and entertainment ordinance as was discussed by Councilwoman Welkowitz at a prior meeting.
Should I say something about
Yes,
that now?
please.
For many years, 50, 60 years on our books, we had an ordinance that prohibited businesses that dedicated more than 10% of their floor space to amusement. And you know, back in the day, we had truancy officers, and it was a problem that kids would cut school and hang out at pinball arcades. However, times have changed, and arcades and other types of amusement businesses are all the rage right now. If you go to Somerville or Red Bank, there are large facilities that host parties for kids. Parents love to take their kids to these places for the afternoon, and we'd like to welcome a business like that into our town too. So we're opening that up right now by amending the ordinance to allow for amusement in Highland Park, with a time limit. I believe it would have to end at midnight. Bars are still open until 2, and of course they'd have to meet any noise restrictions that we currently have in place. Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Any public discussion on this ordinance? Seeing none, I'll close the public discussion. Do I have a motion to adopt or reject the ordinance to amend the amusement and entertainment ordinance?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilman Fine,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin.
Yes.
Councilman George.
I could say 2 comments. Number one, very good work on this. This is infill for redevelopment and bringing business in. And number 2, I just wish you had passed it when I was 16. Yes.
Councilman Hirsch.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan.
Yes, and I can't wait to bring some amusement to Asian people.
Councilwoman Welkowitz.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries. Ordinance adopted on public reading. We'll move on to the consent agenda. At this time on the consent agenda, we'll consider items number 10 through 19. I have a motion on the consent agenda.
So moved. Motion to adopt?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the items on the consent agenda from council?
I just want to pipe in that the teen center is coming along nicely, and I'm really happy the way it's progressing. They should be finishing up this month with the construction work. I'm happy to report that we received a grant from Lowe's, and that grant will be towards painting of the teen center. And we have been receiving a lot of sponsorship and a lot of grants. We have another grant that we will be receiving very shortly, and it will be for the flooring. Somebody's donating the flooring and the labor that it will cost for flooring. So I'm just happy that we're having so much support from our community and the surrounding community as it pertains to this teen center. Thank you. And it's
Thank
on
you.
it's resolution number 17 on the agenda that we're going to pass.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? I'd just like to comment briefly on number 18, the Infrastructure Bank Loan Program. This is the former environmental infrastructure program through the state. This is to begin the process of reevaluation and updating some of the major water mains in town and start looking into the question of both leakage and loss as well. Any comments from the public on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. There's a roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fine,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin.
Yes.
Councilman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Cho-Han,
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz.
Yes.
Okay, I'll read the mayor's appointments at this time. The mayor appoints Robert Cahill to the Employee Safety Committee, Ashton Burrell, Louis Tapica, Dan Jacobs, John Wentz, Deanna Stevens, Julie Luck, Mary Denver, and Donald Beetham to the Human Relations Committee.
Motion to confirm.
Is there a motion to confirm?
Motion, and I just wanted to point out, Mayor, that we have 8 members of the Human Relations Commission who are being reappointed. We still have several vacancies, so anybody at home who's interested in serving, please fill out a volunteer application that you can download on www.hpborough.com. But these are all top-notch volunteers. I'm happy to have them back.
And I'd second that motion.
Second?
Roll call?
Councilman Fine,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin.
Yes.
Councilman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Cho-Han.
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, there's a second public discussion, not limited as to topic. If there are any members of the public who wish to say anything or discuss any matter, now's the time. Public session is open.
I'm here in response to a follow-up memo I received from the mayor on April 30th as a member of the Committee of Understanding.
You should give your name and address for the
Oh.
record.
Thank you. I'm Dan Beatty. I live at 304 Montgomery Street in Highland Park. While I am a member of the ACLU People Power, I am speaking tonight as a concerned resident of Highland Park, not on behalf of ACLU People Power. I'd like to recognize the steps that the mayor has been trying to make to address our concerns about racial profiling and racial patterns in policing by the Highland Park Police Department. However, I'd like to raise a few concerns I have in regards to the recent memo. I'd like to begin by addressing the statement that was included in the memo related to the meeting held on March 25th with myself and Jessica Hunston on behalf of ACLU People Power with the mayor, Councilwoman Foster Dublin, Chief Rizko, Lieutenant Hamill, who's here, and Sergeant Corbello. In that meeting, there was much that was discussed. We did indeed discuss the nuance that is involved in the collection of data, as well as analysis. Certainly, there is more data collection and analysis to be done, both quantitatively and qualitatively. That is necessary to understand why racial patterns exist across the data we have collected. which includes nearly 2 years of traffic stop data as well as use of force reports. Therefore, it is concerning to me that in point number 2, the mayor chose to focus specifically on resident-initiated suspicious person reports, which have not been carefully analyzed, and then to provide several sentences implying that the public is implicated with absolutely no mention of the racial patterns that exist in the work of the police. This seems to follow a pattern of avoiding the elephant in the room and unwillingness to acknowledge the incident that occurred on March 5th as racial profiling, as well as resistance to express public concern over racial patterns in the HPPD data, which raise important questions about racial bias in the practices of the police. The same unwillingness can be seen in other places within the memo, as I will note. In number 1, the mayor's memo states that we have begun exploring partnerships with outside agencies that would create a formalized, consistent analytical review of police data. Well, I think it is a step forward to support the police in analyzing their data in a more detailed way and support this in moving towards greater transparency. There's no mention of identifying patterns of racial bias. The patterns that have been noted focus on race, and therefore any partnership that is developed needs to focus on supporting the department in understanding racial patterns and exploring them in depth and to understand why they exist. We encourage the police department to develop a transparent process and protocol for regularly analyzing data, for sure. In addition, there's no mention of an independent audit of the police department focused on racial patterns. Instead, the focus in number 3 is on, and I quote, firms that will assist the borough's police department from an operational standpoint. This type of audit does not appear to address any of the concerns that we have expressed. The focus of any independent audit needs to identify potential patterns of racial bias in policing. Lastly, number 4 in the mayor's memo notes that the council is identifying firms to provide racial bias training within the police department. I fully support this effort and hope the council will be transparent in their selection criteria and communication of possible firms as they move forward through the process of choosing one focused on this issue. I think that was the clearest in the memo about really identifying race, as well as, whereas the first 3 points really didn't really address that. The mayor's memo and the council's work moving forward must be clear. It's not just unconscious bias training, nor just analyzing data that needs to occur, but a focused effort to understand racial bias in policing.
Thank you. I'm not on that committee, but would you, do you have those comments in writing that you can forward so I make sure the mayor gets them?
Sure.
Great, thank you. I'm on the borough website. You can just forward them that way and copy the mayor as well. Thank you. Anyone else? Well, seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn the conference?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Klein?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Cho Han?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Thank you all very much.